Okay, thank you. Well, welcome everyone to our June 16th open meeting. I'm going to call the meeting to order, and we will have our usual territorial acknowledgement. Today, we acknowledge the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation of the Anishinaabeg peoples on whose traditional territory we are meeting. Are there any declarations of conflict or pecuniary interest under the Municipal Conflict of Interest Act Municipal Conflict of Interest Act, sorry. Are there not seeing any? There are no closed session resolutions. And next is presentations and delegations. But before we get to that specifically, we have a new member with us today, and her name is Jane Armstrong. And welcome, Jane. We're very pleased to have you on our board. And if you would like to just introduce yourself to some of the folks here, I think that'd be a great idea.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and it's a pleasure to be here with you today. I am a long-term resident of Guelph. I was born in Guelph. I'm a retired lawyer, having practiced for 37 odd years. I am currently a member of the Board of Directors of Electra Utilities, and I was previously a member of the Guelph Services Board about 20 years ago. So I'm delighted to be with you today, and I'm looking forward to working with you. Thank you.
Thanks, Jane, and welcome. Okay, let's move on to the presentations. And the first one is from the city. It's an update on the headquarters. And we have Jane Holmes, and she's the Deputy CAO, Infrastructure Development and Enterprise, and Auntie Vilko, General Manager of Facilities and Energy Management. So folks, the floor is yours.
Great, thank you. And thanks for inviting us to this meeting today. We just wanted to give you just a quick update of where we sit with the GPS HQ. I know that it's been top of mind for a lot of people on when we're going to be finished, and I'm happy to say that we are so close. We were really hoping today that we were going to be able to say that we had occupancy, but even though we were closer than what we were last week, we're not quite there yet, but we are making good progress. So in the last few weeks, in particular, we had a big milestone where we had the integrated testing for the life safety systems. And why is that a big deal? Well, really because that really indicates from the contractor that he is in a state of readiness in order to bring all the contractors on board, so that when he's testing his audio, he's testing the fire alarms, he's testing all the life safety systems, that they're all coordinated. We got through that. We do have some minor deficiencies from that we have to address, and that's what we're addressing now. Our building department has been partnering with us. They've been available for us to come and help us get through what's still outstanding. Some of the problems when you go out on site is that when you go and ask a question about one thing and that gets fixed, sometimes that generates more questions. But that is really the nature of a project like this, where you'll recall, we did have a contractor that was in default. He's for bad performance. And so what happens is when you bring somebody new on board, it just takes a while for them to get caught up. And then all the paperwork associated with things in order for everybody to sign off needs to get done. So we are making really good progress. And we're really happy with it so far. We're hoping that by the end of the month, the contractor is going to be done. In fact, Auntie, I think you said that the contractor is planning to not be there. So that's a good sign, because that's the first time we've heard that. That means he's actually seeing the light at the end of the tunnel as well. After that, though, then we have to go through the legal process with arbitration. So we're not quite sure the timelines of that right now. That's in the control of the arbitrator, but we don't anticipate that we're going to get any confirmation of timing on that before year end. But in the meantime, we are looking forward to getting occupancy in the next couple of weeks. And that's really a testament to Auntie's team, who have stuck with it. I've had a couple of these situations in my career where you have a contractor that's been found in default, and they are very difficult situations because they don't often remember the contractor's name. They look at it as a city job. And so a lot of times as city staff, we end up taking the brunt of what the public looks upon as being a poorly managed job. But really, in essence, the staff were great at following the contract. And because they had the remedies within the contract, that's where we are today in order to be able to get a contractor to come on board. So I think the worst is behind us, I'm hoping. And we're hoping for some good news in the next little while. But thanks to Auntie's team to really sticking with it and not giving up on it. And of course, our partners in GPS for putting up with us. There's many times when you're asking an engineer to sign off on something, and if he hasn't seen it, it's very frustrating because they've got to pull things apart so that they can look at it. And I'm sure we've all had that experience when you've got, for instance, your kitchen or something in your house that's being redone. You just want the contractors out of the way, and this has been a real big journey, and we're happy that we're here right now. So, Auntie, I don't know if there's anything else that you'd like to add?
You covered off a great summary there, Jane. One major milestone that we achieved at the end of April, I don't know that everybody was aware, but the Perini, the bonding contractor, was awarded substantial completion for the project, which is a big milestone in the sense that it triggers a holdback release period. And that holdback release payment is due here next week, June 23rd. So that's another signal that the end is near, and we're almost there.
And if I could just add it, I think it has demonstrated, and I came to this project late. I've only been at the city for about a year, but I can tell you that my observation in the past year, it's been a great partnership between the city and GPS in order to manage what has been a difficult situation and getting us to this point. So anyway, I just wanted to acknowledge the patience of our partners in GPS for putting up with us for as long as they have, and seeing this through the end with us. I'm happy to take any questions if there are any.
There, that's better. Are there any questions? Chief?
Yeah, no, I have no questions, but I just wanted the board to be aware of it truly has been a great partnership. Like Jane and Auntie and Ken, we have navigated several variables together over certainly the last year since Jane got here, but with the end very close, we are truly grateful for their time, attention, and professionalism as we kind of complete the project for our members in the community, kind of moving forward to the future for the service in the community. So thank you so much.
Yes. Okay. And Jane and Auntie, thank you on behalf of the board for sticking with this. I know at the best of times construction is challenging, but under these conditions, it's probably even much more challenging. So thanks again.
Great. Thank you very much. And we'll pass that on to the team as well, because there's a whole team of people behind Auntie and I who have helped us get here. So thank you for that.
Sure. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, let's move to our next presentation. And this will be by Sarah Bowers-Peters. And this is Crime Stoppers Guelph Wellington's annual report. And Sarah, you're back again. We thank you for signing up each year to give us this annual report.
Well, thank you for having me back. I'll keep coming until you tell me not to come back anymore. How about that?
Yeah, I don't think that'll happen, at least not with me.
Excellent. So I just need to double check with Leslie. I know I sent the presentation ahead of time. Am I able to share, or is this something that's going to be run from your end?
No, if you can share, that would be great.
Okay.
If you're comfortable doing that, I think that's perfect. Then you can click through whenever you need to.
Perfect. Let me just get this up and running. hopefully everyone can see the beginning of the presentation. Let me know otherwise.
Yeah, I'm good. I see it.
Excellent. Well, thank you once again for having me back to give you an update. And as we are all well aware, it's been interesting times, and it's been certainly an evolution and an opportunity to embrace new concepts. You know, we're doing that right now by virtue of this medium of meeting. And I'm really excited to talk to you about some of the advancements and changes that we've had at Crime Stoppers Guelph Wellington. If I can get it to work. Here we go. So as mentioned previously, we are remote. We will be remote moving forward. That will be our business as usual model. We've had great success in the way that we've been conducting ourselves since the beginning of the pandemic. So the engagement being online and in person is something we're going to continue. Being able to have that versatility, not just in areas of Guelph, but in the county of Wellington as well. It's proven to be very beneficial to have that flexibility. We have interest in in-person interactions, and we'll talk a bit about that later. But it's something that having that flexibility is something we didn't enjoy in the past. Our anti-Black Indigenous racism strategy and our inclusivity awareness training is something that is it's relatively new, but it's something we have embraced and developing specifically by having guest speakers at our board meetings and having standalone training for our board members. So we actually had Dr. Ray Reese join us. She's an academic, and I can't remember the new name, forgive me. It's previously Ryerson University, and she came to speak to us about the realities of Indigenous and Black communities and helping us have a better perspective on how we can be engaging and things that we may not be seeing as being problematic or things that we can improve upon. And that is something that the board feels very strongly about. And I'm quite proud of the organization for embracing that. As I mentioned, our awareness has increased. We went from, on average, I'd say 60 presentations a year pre-pandemic. Of course, you know, that dropped to 25 in 2021 when we were able to actually engage in some capacity. And then, of course, last year, or sorry, in 2020 was 25 presentations. And then in 2021, we were up to 32 presentations. We will beat that this year. The demand for our messaging is increasing tremendously, and we're very happy to be engaging in that capacity. So the online and in-person presentations include our Crime Stoppers 101 messaging, so just how the program works, how to leave a tip, what the process looks like. We also have a student-themed Crime Stoppers presentation, which is age appropriate, talks about the school community, that type of thing. Senior Crime Stoppers, that tends to focus on things such as elder abuse and being aware of crimes such as fraud. Human trafficking, which would seem to be self-explanatory. We've had a lot of interest in human trafficking messaging the last several years, and we're very happy to do that, as well as that kind of translates into a program known as EPAC, which is Educate Parents and Children Together. That concept has children in one room and their parents or caregivers in another room. We have age-appropriate messaging for the youth to talk about cyber safety, and that's usually with my colleague, Detective Constable Hugh Curry. In the other room, I will be talking to the adults about human trafficking. We then switch the audiences. The parents, caregivers will go in to speak with Detective Constable Curry, and then I will take the students who have learned about cyber safety and then make that correlation between being smart and safe online and the peril with human trafficking, because we are aware that social media is being used for grooming and communication with young people. So this concept has actually received awards, and we're very happy to be able to bring it back, and we look forward to booking EPAC presentations in the very near future. Statistics, everyone wants to know what the numbers are. So as of end of May, we had over 22,000 tips to the program. That's resulted in over 1,500 arrests. 2,300 cases cleared, charges laid 4,400 and change, and our board of directors have approved rewards in excess of $180,000. However, it should be noted that our rewards in 2021 more than doubled what we had approved in the previous year. So even though our fundraising wasn't there for all the reasons that we all know about, The demand, or sorry, the interest in the program, and therefore the rewards assigned to that information certainly did increase. And this is a very interesting screen. And I'm sure there, when you got the package ahead of time, you may have been concerned when you saw that final line, that final bullet point that shows that there have been 92 tips to Guelph Police Service. Overall, our tips have been down this year. However, what we learned last year and what we're learning this year is that we may not have the large volume of tips we've had in past years, but the quality of information we are receiving is much higher. So I will take a smaller number of tips and be happy with that if I know it's making a difference. And that's really the takeaway we had coming out of last year. And we see that trend continuing into 2022. So yes, we're not getting, the big triple digit numbers right now, but I'm happy with 92 tips to Guelph Police Service because we know those tips are indeed impactful and making a difference in the community. As you can see here, further to what I was just indicating, our year-end stats for 2021, we were down 15% over 2020. And yet our numbers are the effectiveness, the impact of that information was really off the charts. Starting on the left there, the increase in drug recoveries increased by 2,347%. That's remarkable. That's amazing. And we're very pleased to be able to be a service that can assist our investigative partners in leading them to that kind of recovery result. That's tremendous. The increase in arrests obviously went up. The increase in rewards, therefore, obviously goes up. The increase in charges, 130% increase in those charges, and overall recoveries increased as well. So whether it's personal property, cash, or as we know with the drugs, that overall number in recoveries is 757%. So despite the fact we had a decrease in tips, it was, as I mentioned before, a very impactful year for us. Our board members, we currently have 13 volunteers at our board table. As you can see the breakdown there, it's a nice even distribution, I feel, for the county and the city. We always encourage people that are interested in volunteering with Crime Stoppers to go through our website and submit an application. It's a very streamlined process. There's an interview. There's the opportunity to learn more about the program before you make a full-time commitment, and it seems to have worked well for us. Oh, sorry. So we've made a point of shining a light on our board members. Again, we know that volunteerism is something that can decrease over time or fluctuate with a program. So we've had strong support from our core members, and we've had some new people come, and we've had some people that had to step away rather. We are still meeting via Zoom, which seems to be working well for everyone. The group has also developed an anti-racism policy, which includes a statement, outreach, and training, which I referenced earlier. And board recruitment is an ongoing process. Fundraising, of course, for all charitable organizations has been a challenge. We were able to have our mulch sale in Guelph this year. The May Mulch Month was very successful. It was over $2,000 raised as a result of this event. Mount Forest was $4,000 thanks to a full donation from Young's Home Hardware. Our shredding events were outstanding last fall, second only to the year previous. So we're certainly not complaining about that. We're always looking for new fundraising initiatives and partnerships. So please, if there's any opportunity that you feel that we could benefit from, or that an organization we should be partnering with, please forward it to me. The fundraising is key for our organization because it helps run the program as well as pay tips to rewards. And as you can see from our previous screens, the rewards, they're getting up there. We did have a redesign of our website, and I invite you to check it out at www.csgw.tips. It's just been made even more user-friendly, and that's what it's all about. Our social media game is strong. As you can see, we have a variety of themes reflected in our social media. Stop the Crime of Human Trafficking is actually the theme that was adopted by Canadian Crime Stoppers for Crime Stoppers Month this January, and that certainly resonated with us and is something that we are promoting throughout the year. I would encourage you to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, or our LinkedIn page. And any sharing or support that you can provide to us is always appreciated. Just to highlight for our newer members that we have these partnerships within the community. We work with Guelph Wellington Women in Crisis, Safe Communities Wellington County, the Wellington Guelph Drug Strategy, and Victim Services Wellington. And we have found these to be amazing and mutually beneficial partnerships, and we're very proud to work alongside them. Continuing our work with OACS and CCSA, I'm coming up on the end of my second term with OACS, so we'll just have to see whether or not the board says I can let my name stand for another term. But it's been a very, very busy time with OACS, keeping things going at the provincial level and making sure that Guelph Wellington has a voice at the province, amongst other programs in the province. And we're going to be having our online conference once again this year, as we did in November of 2021. And the Canadian Crime Stoppers Association, same thing, making sure that smaller programs are recognized, because we are considered one of the smaller programs. And there's always lots going on at the national and provincial level that we're able to, bring down to the local level and customize it with our messaging. As always, I'd like to come to you with the challenges that we face and hopefully solutions for those challenges. Fundraisers, as I mentioned previously, we're always looking for fundraisers, and some of them have taken a hit because of the realities of the pandemic. Volunteer recruitment, same thing. We know some people are keen to get back out there. We just need to connect with those people and have them volunteer with us. Radio engagement, we know all of our media partners have struggled the last couple of years. We've been pleased to be able to get on board with our TV and our print partners. We just look for opportunities to engage with our radio partners as well. And of course, ongoing legal challenges. That's the nature of the work we do. There will always be ongoing legal challenges, but if we can make sure that we're doing investigator training, we will reduce the chance of it being something that happens in the process once the tip leaves our program and goes to our investigative partners. All right, so we did have some awards that I'd like to share with you. Normally when I'm in person, I would have those spread out on the table for you, but suffice it to say, we did get some recognition at the Crime Stoppers International level for Best Radio, Best Television, and Best Digital. So that was our Crime of the Week live stream concept, and those were presented to us in December of 2021. And our OACS awards. So these are the provincial awards, Best Radio, Best Video, Best Digital for the Crime of the Week live streaming. Our online excellence, so that's for our website as well as our social media contributions. Best project, our communications training policy, which I believe I referenced last year that we had developed that. It was then adopted by the Ontario and then the Canadian Crime Stoppers Association, so we're very proud of that. And of course, the Marla Moon Memorial Award of Excellence, which we have received for the 6th straight year. So we're very proud of that, and we're happy to bring those awards back home to Guelph and Wellington. Project Lockdown was an event we held just recently in partnership with Guelph Police and Wellington County OPP. We held it at Stone Road Mall. This was to increase awareness around auto theft. And this is something I think we're going to be adopting, making April Auto Theft Awareness Month. Locally, but we had a great response to this Project Lockdown, the idea being that we would hand out 50 of these pouches that you see on the screen. The idea is with that is you just tuck your key fob into that to help disrupt the communication between the key fob and your vehicle. So these were handed out to a number of drivers, and then if you wanted more or to help increase awareness, people could purchase them through our website, and they are still available at this time. We've also received support from 100 Men Who Give a Damn Guelph. We were named as a benefactor in their February meeting. We are developing content presently with Detective Constable Hugh Curry to develop a human trafficking cyber safety component that parents can understand and help protect their own children, because that seems to be the most feedback that we're getting from the community, is that parents and guardians don't know how to keep their children safe. So we're going to, it's going to come at you in a number of different ways. It's going to be through our media, through our social media, as well as in-person presentations. But the work that we're going to be doing, we could not have done without the tremendous support of 100 Men Who Give a Damn. And I look forward to sharing more of that that project with you in the next couple of months. I tried to go through that as quickly as possible, so I want to say thank you so much for giving me the opportunity. And if there is any chance that you would like to ask questions. If there is time, Mr. Chair, I'm happy to entertain them.
Are there any questions for Sarah? No, no questions. Not seeing any.
Uh-oh.
Oh, is that it? Oh, well, you have to put your hand in front of the screen so I can see it. Yeah. Okay. Mr. Mayor,
Hey,
you have a question.
I don't have a question. That's why I was kind of like, I just wanted to have a comment. So I just didn't
okay.
want her to go away and stuff. So it's up to you, Mr. Chair.
Oh,
Yes, I'm good to go. Okay.
oh, I thought you said you had a comment. You do.
I do. I was just trying to be formal with the process to
Oh,
allow, give
No,
me the
go ahead,
permission.
please.
Yeah, thank you. Through you, Mr. Chair. I just want to say, Sarah, you have taken Crime Stoppers from a place that was not very well known to a place that is just prominent in the community and the surrounding area over the years that you've been at the helm. And yeah, you're great. Your organization is great, and the board is fantastic. And I just can't thank you enough for what you do. And just keep it up. That's all I have to say, Mr. Chair, because you're doing an excellent job.
Yeah, I was going to say that, Sarah, what your group and yourself are doing here is nothing short of amazing. I mean, every time you give us a presentation, you always have something else, maybe not even one thing, 2, 3 new things. So you're always thinking about how you can add things to your list. And I'm not quite sure how you manage to do this and keep adding things, but I guess you add volunteers as well. So that's my comment.
Well, thank
Any
you so
other-
much. Sorry.
You're welcome. No, go. I was just going to ask if anyone else had any comments or questions. No, not seeing any. Then
I was just going to say thank you, because we're just trying to be reflective of the community and meet the needs of our place partners. So as long as that's happening and there's opportunity to continue to foster those relationships, that's why we're continuing to evolve. So as much as I'd love to sit there and take all your praise, it's really just being responsive. So thank you very much for that.
Yeah, well, thank you, Sarah, and please pass on our thanks to your crew there, all of your participants, because it really does make a difference.
Gladly. Thank you so much. Take care, and I look forward to seeing you all in person.
Okay, yeah, that'd be nice.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Okay, moving right along. Our next presentation is now Connor is Connor. I'm going to get to your last name in a second here, but I've got to make sure I get it right. Okay, this time. Our next presentation is Connor Vivods. Did I get it?
Couldn't have said it better myself.
All right, good, perfect. I had a little help with it, but I can't say who.
Oh my, okay.
So Connor is the GPS Guelph downtown resource officer, and he is going to give us an update on what Connor and his group do in the downtown. So Connor, Gord.
Yep. Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just wanted, before Connor starts, I just wanted to, for our community who may not have been here the first time that Connor came, Connor was here about 3 months ago, and he is our new full-time downtown resource officer. And Connor had kind of introduced himself to the community. He's a longtime resident of Guelph and spoke passionately about his commitment to the community in the downtown. And Connor had said that his intro 3 months ago would be followed by a visit in 2 or 3 months to kind of update the board with respect to any progress, kind of any themes, observations, etc. So, Connor, I'll let you start. The floor is yours. And then we're quite hopeful, Mr. Chair, that for our board, on behalf of our community, that like we welcome any conversation, questions, discussion in relation to Connor, his role, and how our service supports the downtown.
All right, I'll take it away. So, yes, everyone, thanks for having me back. I was either able to speak somewhat eloquently last time, or every court needs a jester. I'm not sure which is the reason that I'm here, but just happy to be here. So, thanks for having me. So last time I said that I would. Well, first, I guess let me break down my little spiel here. I'm going to be having kind of 3 topics that I'm covering with 2 points within each topic. So if you guys are holding your breath, you know how close you are to the finish line. And the first one is data. So the data that my unit really generates is within 2 categories, which are our meat and potatoes. And those are community contacts being the first, and proactive patrols being the second. Now, those are somewhat of broad terms. So to narrow it down, a community contact could be something, or an example of a community contact would be me walking up Wyndham Street, touching base with each of the businesses. It could be sitting down at one of the benches at St. George's Square and chatting to the folks there. Or my personal favorite is grabbing a coffee, standing on a busy corner, and just being approachable, waiting to see who wants to come and talk to me about anything and everything. And then a proactive patrol is where the intention is more to like move around, observe, report, and get involved if it's required. So an example of that could be, yeah, walking the beat, doing a foot patrol or bike patrol around downtown, getting into the alleys, the stairways, the parks, really locations that police cars have a difficult time getting to. Or it could include going into the library to do a little lap around the library to speak to the folks there, or the Quebec Street Mall to show support in those locations. So the data that I have for you comes from my start date of November of 2021 until today. And the data that we have for the community contacts is there have been generated 238 occurrences. And then for proactive patrols, there's been 88 created occurrences for those, which are, I'm happy to say, quite healthy numbers. Now, data helps us capture the work that we've done out in the public, but and the work that we've been doing out in the public has been to try and support the needs of the community, but there's a lot of efforts that go on behind closed doors as well that I'd like to speak to. And that's my second speaking point, which is like projects and initiatives. And the first that I'd like to talk about is our collaborations with the Welcoming Streets Initiative, which runs out of the Community Health Center. So our 2 organizations, the GPS and the CHC, we realize that we really have aligned interests in advocating and supporting for the downtown citizens, especially those experiencing homelessness, addiction, or mental health. So our organizations see it as like wise and prudent that we both work together in trying to attain our goals, because the goals tend to be quite complementary. To build these bridges between our groups, Lindsay, Julie, and Gage all extended their days to attend the Guelph Police Station to speak with each of our platoons in an effort to reach out and make a face-to-face contact, personal contact with each of our officers. And I don't want to state how much effort that can, or not effort, but how much of a commitment that can take from Welcoming Streets, because there's 4 platoons that each have 2 start times. So that's 8 separate times they've had to work an extended day just to show support for this collaboration. So thank you. So the objective of them coming in person instead of doing something over Teams or presenting it once, recording it, and then just hitting play for all the other platoons was to show like a concerted effort of our 2 groups aligning and trying to figure out how we can work best together to support each other. And coming out of these talks, I can safely say that the members of the Guelph Police Service better understand Welcoming Streets. their capabilities as well as limitations, how Welcoming Streets can support the Guelph Police Service, and how the Guelph Police Service can help Welcoming Streets and in turn the Community Health Center. The second project that we've been working on behind closed doors has been the downtown support officers, my little helpers. So they've existed for some time. However, recent feedback from the community has caused us to go back to the drawing board to kind of re-evolve the unit to meet the emergent needs of the downtown population, such as promoting presence in the core. The unit is also going to be mentored and to receive direction towards areas of concern from a full-time member, myself. Now, this is going to segue into my third speaking point, which is the themes that I've been noticing downtown. And it's these themes that are really giving me the direction that I need to provide to these support officers and to myself and to the Guelph Police Service in general when it comes to supporting the core. The two themes that I have seen is disruptive behavior as well as an interest in organizational collaboration. So disruptive behavior is a hot topic in the downtown core these days. And disruptive behavior can be yelling, name calling, littering, loitering, or inappropriate drug use. And though there's no data that can show what never happens as a result of an officer merely being present in the core, I think it's not a stretch of anyone's imagination to think that when the police are around, people are more willing to adjust their behavior to a more cooperative direction. And I can personally attest to this, for when I'm driving around in a police car, everyone's driving like an angel. In fact, it can be sometimes difficult to find someone committing an infraction. But as soon as I park the police car, jump into my own car, and I go to drive home, I can't get down the street without being cut off or by someone, driving in a reckless manner. And it's the same when I come downtown on my days off. I'll see our colorful characters going about their behaviors and then and acting in one way, and then I'll come back downtown when I'm working in uniform, and they're suddenly adjusting their behaviors just because of the fancy uniform that I'm wearing. Now, by no means can I ever promise that their disruptive behaviors just evaporate entirely because I'm just there, but it's as if there's a muffler placed around them, and it is a step in the right direction and assists. So the projects and initiatives that I spoke about just previously, I hope you can see, are aligned with trying to meet the theme. Well, I should say the first, I guess this, maybe I did it in the wrong order, but the second project that I talked about, but the downtown support officers and their presence in the core has been generated to try and address this theme of mitigating disruptive behavior. The second theme is that I mentioned was the interest in organizational collaboration. And this becomes important because though officer presence can mitigate ne'er-do-well behavior in the core, there's some situations, especially those that are stemming from mental health, addiction, or homelessness, that you could have tons of police officers around, and if that behavior isn't coming from a criminal intent, they're not going to adjust themselves just because a police officer happens to be by to observe. So I hold a puzzle piece in the big picture of trying to solve the systemic, questions and concerns that we all have, but my puzzle piece doesn't always work. And that's why I'm very excited when I see the second theme, which is there's a huge interest in people wanting to get together to try and add their pieces so that we can create this get a big idea of the big picture, create the big picture. I'm not sure where I'm going with the analogy of puzzle pieces in the big picture, but I was trying for something. But what I'm saying is I've got one of those pieces, and other people in the downtown and in the city have other puzzle pieces. And people have been reaching out to me, like the CHC through their Welcoming Streets, the Guelph Chamber of Commerce, the city, almost all of the shelters and the services downtown, and they're all excited. I think it might be coming out of the pandemic and everyone's tired of isolation and now wants cooperation or collaboration. And jumping on that, riding that wave, we've created a stronger partnership with Welcoming Streets, and we've been working on other cooperations, teamwork with other groups. And if anyone has any ideas about how the police could support them in their goals or how they could support us in ours, I'm always open to hearing anything, and I'm sure the chief is as well. And that brings me to the end of my little spiel. So thank you.
Thanks, Connor.
Thanks.
Oh, sorry, Mr. Chair, you go ahead.
Oh,
I was going to ask Connor a couple questions, but.
Oh, okay. Well, you please proceed. I was just slow getting my mic back in order. That's all. So go ahead.
Well, why don't maybe I'll let our board members, if you guys have questions first, and then rather than me going first. So I'll turn it over to you.
I'm not seeing any right now. Yeah, go ahead, Chief.
Okay. No, and I think what Connor's been working hard to kind of explain is how from a policing perspective, we have an opportunity and a responsibility to work together collaboratively with all other stakeholders. And by that includes our most vulnerable, that includes our businesses, residents, and visitors to downtown. And I think it's really important, as we've discussed on numerous occasions in the past, that the wellness of our community is a collective, holistic discussion, not in and of itself a policing issue alone. So I just wanted to kind of also let the board know that we really do understand, and Connor is so eloquent. He's so authentic in his presentation when he talks about the downtown. We truly do understand the importance of visibility. What our plans, and as the board knows, it's a constant resourcing discussion for us, but we will be identifying an additional resource to work full-time with Connor, at least for the next couple of months. And like right now, we simply don't have the resources to have 3, 4, 5 people all the time with Connor downtown. But we understand kind of the context that we're in right now with summer approaching. So we will be identifying another full-time resource to support Connor over the summer, and then moving forward. And that's in addition to, we've spoken at length about our downtown resource officers. Our tactical unit has always, for many years, has spent time downtown Thursday, Friday, Saturday, like, high busy times in the downtown. But if there's one theme for the community, if the community ever finds a time where they feel like they need our assistance, to call us in the moment. And I know I've said this many times now, but if Connor's not available, or if someone doesn't see a member of our service at any one time, please call 911 in emergency or our dispatch unit at 824-1212, because in addition to Connor, in addition to the additional person that's going to work full-time to support Connor, in addition to our downtown resource officers, we have our members who work throughout the city 24/7. And we always want the community to know that if you're not sure what to do, call us. And so that concerns can be addressed kind of in real time by our dispatch unit.
Okay. Mr. Mayor, yes.
Thank you so much. And through you, Mr. Chair, I'll maybe have some comments later, but just a couple of clarifying questions, if you don't mind, through to the chief. In regards to the extra resource or the extra officer that will now be joining Connor downtown, you indicated to be at a minimum a couple of months of that for sure, to get us kind of through the summer, which I appreciate. Will you be looking, though, over this next couple of months to see how we could look to resource that, if required, moving past sort of the summer? Yeah, that's my main question. Just wondering if it's relevant to have to have that resource there? Is there a way that you might be able to look at that?
Yeah, so, well, and the way we're able to achieve it right now is, as I know the board is aware, our Catholic school board, they chose to maintain our high school resource officer presence. So the person that's where we're going to be looking over the summer to get that support for the downtown to help Connor. Moving forward, we will have to look at, is it possible? And I know the board has heard me and Mr. Mayor at other venues, you've heard me speak about our resourcing realities with respect to how our resources compare kind of across the province with other communities, etc. So we will look. It's whenever we find a resource to support one important area, it's pulling support from another important area, and so that's going to be the constant assessment that we have to make. But I think right now, to support the downtown and our community overall, making sure there's somebody immediately available is a priority right now.
Great, thank you. And I think just off the top of my head here, even though the city has moved to a multi-year budget, there's still a confirmation vote that has to occur in February of next year. That is still an opportunity for council to consider maybe not only this resourcing, but other resourcing that might have to be considered at that point. That's obviously something that I subscribe to for not only this issue, but for other safety issues within the community. So yeah, if we can have this occur over the next couple of months, and then you're still going to be looking at some things moving forward, I know for sure I'd be really interested in that. And then my next question kind of just follows with that. Connor, you talked very well at the beginning, I felt, where you talked about sort of there's the two kind of interactions that you have, sort of one that's more like, on the bench or having the coffee, and then you had the other one was more proactive, you're going around. I'm just wondering, in that type of reporting, in that type of two things that you do, how do you and this extra resource that's going to be added, are you going to be then, both of you, maybe this is through to the chief, I just want to make sure that we're collecting more data, because it'd be interesting for me anyways, I can't speak on behalf of the board, of course, but it'd be interesting for me to see what one resource like Connor is doing in the downtown with the last he's back 3 months later. It would be very interesting for me to find out if that data and metrics is being collected then with two resources downtown over the next 2 or 3 months. That it'd be very interesting to see what the comparison sort of is and the results. So can we expect sort of a follow-up based on this opportunity of the second resource being added from a data gathering point of view?
So I'll speak for Connor. Connor, I'll let you off the hook here. So short answer, yes, Mr. Mayor, you can. But in addition to that, I think that so we can give data to say how many patrols, how many occurrences Connor had, or an additional resource. In addition to quantifying that data, we're really hopeful that people will feel better about their experience downtown as well. So we can't quantify what didn't happen, but in addition to metrics, for example, I can show you our crime severity index and say relative to other communities, Guelph is more or less safe than. But in addition to metrics, it's a feeling of safety and security that we want our community to have downtown as well. So I hope that helps, Mr. Mayor.
It really does, and perhaps throwing this out in the moment, but perhaps there can be some side, Connor talked about the partnerships and the other stakeholders that are coming together. And I think a key one that is the business voice in the downtown is the Downtown Guelph Business Association. So perhaps there's an ability here for there to be some sort of a connection with them on the how do you feel part, kind of in the last 3 months versus when this extra resource is added. there can be sort of follow up through the DGBA and some feedback, maybe even surveys done in 3 months to see how that is. And that data collection, how you feel, how the perception of safety and seeing more officers around may very well translate into that better atmosphere and arena in the downtown core that we're all looking for. But it could be somewhat quantified maybe in dealing with an agency like the DGBA, just as an example. I see the thumbs up there, so thank you so much. I have comments later, Mr. Chair, but I think another member put their hand up.
Sorry, who was it? Oh, Peter.
Yes, I was sort of going to pick up on the same point that you just mentioned and say that what are we really doing to quantify how people are, the perceptions that whether it's going positively or negatively in terms of the community's view of safety. I think that would be very important.
Okay. Are there any other questions? Not seeing any. Oh, sorry. I just didn't see your hand.
No problem.
Jane.
Thank you.
Please.
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Chair. I just, I'm happy to hear of the starting collaborating with the other partners that are in the downtown. I'm just wondering, and I'm sure it's early days, but any sense of what the goals of that collaboration might be? Are we looking to try and achieve some strategies that perhaps might improve the situation downtown, so we're not only relying on the presence of policing to ensure that the disruptive behavior is addressed?
So what I would, so as a chief of police, we understand that we're one important stakeholder, but we're just one of many. And the complexity and the complex nature and the holistic approach that needs to be taken, I would strongly encourage as a community, whether it be at the city or at the county level, I believe we need a fulsome assessment with respect to what services do we have? How are they aligned? How are they coordinated? What are our metrics to actually demonstrate the ROI for the community and for our most vulnerable who really do need the services? And I may not be like there, that may exist already, but if we're not doing that assessment, I think that's an absolute starting point, because then once we know what resources are actually in place, then that's the foundation for the conversation as far as how can we best come together with those resources. But I'm not aware if that process exists. I believe if it doesn't exist, it has to exist. But that's, again, I'm a police chief. I'm not an urban planner or a social service provider, but I think the community deserves it. Most importantly, our vulnerable population downtown, our businesses, residents, and visitors to the downtown.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Not seeing any. Thank you, Connor, for your great presentation as usual. Oh, Mayor Guthrie, you have a question? Okay.
I didn't. I indicated I had just some comments, if that's okay. I just didn't know if you were letting.
No, that's fine. Go ahead.
Okay. And I do have a motion I would like to add to this discussion as well, Mr. Chair. I'll bring that forward in a second. Here's my comments, and people know that I like to shoot from the hip a little bit here, so I got nothing in front of me that I'm reading. I'm just speaking my mind. This issue has been a growing issue, and I just want to say thank you so much to the chief and to the deputy and to the leadership team. You listened. You listened to the stories of impact that are happening within the downtown, and you've taken action. And I just really wanted to say to you a thank you for that. Connor, I want you to know I have heard amazing things about you and your work within the downtown. In fact, the most common thing that I've heard is can we make triplets or quadruples of Connor within the downtown core? So I just want to encourage you for the work that you do and you continue to do. But Chief, I thank you. I think I speak on behalf of not, of course, here on behalf of the board, but as my position as mayor, I want you to know that I greatly appreciate you listening and taking action. This is exactly, I think, what is required. I look forward to the data and the metrics being determined over the next few months. And I just want to echo what Connor said in regards to policing is just a very small piece of the puzzle out of this complex issue. So thank you very much. My next point, Mr. Chair, is that the biggest pieces of the puzzle that can come together to actually help most of the situations that are happening in the downtown core and across our city are mental health, addictions, and housing supports, which are all done under the jurisdiction of the province with help from social services, which is now at the county. And this board, Mr. Chair, and many other agencies have spoken and multiple times on the help that we need in our cities. And I personally am very disappointed with the fact that the upper levels of government are continuing to not help cities in regards to these issues when we are not built to actually respond to these issues. These are provincial jurisdictional issues of healthcare. And we have asked and asked and asked for help with real business cases in regards to the mental health supports that we need. And we continually do not get them, even though they know that those are the solutions. And they know it actually saves the taxpayers money at the same time as helping the most vulnerable in our community. And yet here we are again, dealing with these issues, and the solutions are there, and we hear nothing. So I want to move a motion again, Mr. Chair, and I'll read it out to you. It is going to be a reaffirmation motion of our past motions again, and it is that the Guelph Police Services Board urgently reaffirm our continued position as dated December 15th, 2020 and February 16th, 2021, that without delay, the Government of Ontario provides immediate funding for full 24/7 coverage of the IMPACT program to address the growing addictions and mental health impacts within the city of Guelph. And I know that I think Councillor Billings was indicated she'd be willing to second that. And that's my motion, Mr. Chair. And I'll leave it as that. I hope I was just as passionate as Connor and the chief were for once. Thank you very much.
Any questions? Any comments on the motion? Christine?
Through you, Mr. Chair, to the mayor. As far as sending this out, circulation, do you want it to go anywhere else besides the province? Like, what are you thinking there?
Thank you, through you, Mr. Chair. Yes, to the province. I think as well, I think it would be good to also do our MP and our MPP, as well as well as to whoever the new Minister of Health and whoever the new Minister of Mental Health is as appointed coming up with the new government as well. If that could be a kind of a friendly add-on, I would certainly support that from Councillor Billings.
Yeah, that would be great.
Okay, any questions on that motion that's been moved and seconded? And not seeing any, I'll call the question. All in favor? And that's carried. Thank you. Okay. Chief, did you have any other comments, questions, whatever?
No, other than I just want to thank Connor, to echo the mayor's point. Connor is just such a kind, genuine, authentic person who is giving his heart and soul to this role. And again, I want to kind of echo the mayor's point twice, that this is a community effort. We can't do this alone as a police service. As our service, our members, police leaders across the province, we are the first to say that police are not mental health providers or social service workers. We are the first to say that proactive, holistic response is what's optimal. But in the absence of decisions or actions to kind of address some of the things the mayor alluded to, we are also the only ones available 24/7, 365 when members of our community need support. So I think it's important to kind of to recognize that we agree that the solution is much broader. And I think, like I said at our last meeting, the community deserves a plan. And I think our members deserve thanks for the fact that they literally are the ones who answer the call time and time and time again to support our community members in crisis, because no one else is available to do that. So that's all I have, Mr. Chair.
Yeah, Connor, I just also want to thank you, but I also want to mention a few weeks ago, we happened to meet in the hallway, bypass each other. And I want to tell you, it's just your enthusiasm and your personality is perfect for this job. You're very likable in terms of discussions, and I can imagine that has a big effect out on the streets downtown. So I just want you to be aware of that. And we thank you for what you're doing, and hopefully we can move on with this and, get some sort of changes somehow. And the mayor has mentioned some things we can do. And I'm sure, as you have said, you're trying hard with your supporting people. So good luck with it. And I think we should have you back in another few months, see how things are going. But what do you think, Chief?
Oh, he'll be back in another 3 months to give an update on the data that Mr. Mayor just alluded to.
Oh, okay. I'm not sure you said that without an edge on it, but that's okay. Just kidding. Yeah. Okay. Thanks again, Connor. We appreciate it. Okay, let's move on. Now we're on item 6, if you're following. Approval of minutes of the open meeting of May 19th, 2022. Christine, second by the mayor, and all in favor. And that's carried. Thank you. Could I have a motion to approve the agenda? And okay, thank you. Jane, Peter, all in favor? And that's carried. Okay, the part 1 is the consent agenda. And that can be approved in one motion. Christine, thank you. Seconder, Peter, thanks. All in favor? Thank you. Part 2, discussion. And the first item under part 2 is the chief's monthly report.
It is, and now, Mr. Chair, with your permission, I think my monthly report's going to be encapsulated in as we go through the annual report, as well as our discussions we've just had. So if you want to skip that and we'll get to the annual report, it's all going to be wrapped together, I think.
Sure, I think everybody's okay with that.
Okay, so
Yep.
I'll start at the annual report then, Mr. Chair, with your permission.
Certainly.
Okay. We're very happy this year. One of the things we've been working hard is how can our annual report, how can it be the most engaging, the most informative, and the most useful for our community? And this year, we're really pleased to advise that the annual report's been prepared through the joint and dedicated efforts of our research and development and our media offices. We want to really acknowledge Miss Sarah McFarland. Sarah's here with us today, and Sarah's our University of Guelph Media Co-op student, and she has done a tremendous amount of work to redesign the annual report this year, so that not only is it easy to read for the first time, it's fully interactive and compliant with the Accessibility for Ontarians with Disability Act to include voiceover and closed captioning capabilities, thus ensuring full accessibility to all of our community. And I'm going to let Sarah start off, because Sarah's going to walk the board through briefly on kind of how the new features of our annual report. So go ahead, Sarah.
Okay, thank you. I'm just going to share my screen quickly. Oh, there we go. Okay. So this year, when people navigate to the Guelph Police Service website and click on the 2021 annual report, this is kind of what's going to come up on their end. So I'm just going to quickly walk through all of the interactive features that we've added to the report this year. So when you're first brought to this, you might see this hand cursor in the top right corner. So this report is also completely accessible on mobile devices. So if you just click on that button, it shows different gestures for how people can navigate through the report on their phone or an iPad or something like that. It's just because the regular play bar that you're using if you're on a computer, which is just at the bottom here, is really hard to use on a mobile device. So this is just providing people with other options for navigating throughout. So when you're first brought to the report, you'll see this kind of white screen with the play button. Once you click on the play button, you'll be brought to the introductory page of the report, and then there'll be audio and captioning that comes through. I don't think the audio is going to work just because of how I shared my screen, but basically you press that and you can see that the captions come up along the bottom, which just disappeared, but they come up along the bottom, and then people can either listen to it, read through it through those closed captionings, which give kind of more in-depth descriptions of some of the tables and different data and stuff like that throughout the report, or you can just kind of navigate through it on your own time. So we have our table of contents as well on our second page. So as you can see, as I hover over top of all of these items, there's kind of gray boxes that show up. So if I picked a specific slide that I wanted to go to, it would just double click it. Now bring you directly to that content, so that person can just quickly navigate to what they want to see. Also on all of the pages, you can just click wherever on the screen and it will move you forward onto the next page. So it's quick and easy ways to kind of navigate without having to scroll through and possibly like miss certain information. We also have the play bar along the bottom, which allows you to move forward and backward throughout the report to see different content and review anything that you've previously looked at. And then we have the table of contents along this side, which moves along with every page of the report. So if you come onto the report and you know you want to look at the organizational structure, you can just click on that and it'll bring you directly to that page. And then finally, we have this little magnifying glass in the top. If you just click on that, you get a little search bar. This search bar searches through all the slide content, the captions, and the slide notes that were associated with the original PowerPoint to find what you're looking for. So let's say I want to look up the alarms numbers or something. It would then kind of reduce the table of contents to just show you the pages that mention the word alarm, and then you can just click on it from the table of contents and find the exact content that you're looking for. So that's basically everything for the new features that have been included. And yeah, thank you for your time.
Perfect. Sarah, I'll just get you to stop sharing your screen.
Sorry.
Oops.
There we go. Sorry.
Okay.
Well,
So
and Mr. Chair, I wanted to kind of highlight how we're so grateful to the work Sarah's done. This is a perfect example of where often people who are less young can learn so much from people who are young. And Sarah has just brought kind of a new technology and a perspective that's really made the product better this year. So we're hoping that it will also be more informative and maybe in addition to being fully accessible. But if we present it in a fashion that's just more interesting and easy to read, then more people can benefit from the information for the community.
I'm going to remember that crack you made about less young. Okay. Are there any questions for Sarah? Anybody want any instructions? No? No? Okay. Christine, yeah, you're shaking your head no. You're a whiz at this, right? Right. All of a sudden. Okay. Thanks, Sarah. I appreciate it. A great job. Looks like navigation is very simple. And I can remember navigating through the pages of the hard copy a few years ago. So, yeah, I am computer literate most of the time, but this will really help, I think. And it's keeping up with the times, and your work on this is just fantastic. So thanks.
Mr. Chair,
Yeah,
Chair.
question?
No, I just wondered. I think the deputy chief has the 12 o'clock is still flashing on his VCR at home. So if you could. Thank you, Sarah, for your work.
It's a beta VCR, if I may.
Don't do it for free, Sarah. Charge him.
So, Mr. Chair, with your permission, Mr. Chair, I was going to give some highlights in the report if we have a few minutes.
Sure.
Okay. So if you recall, about 3 years ago, maybe slightly less, we made some commitments to the community that we're going to work hard in the areas of like public safety and so many different areas. And I think you'll find as you go through this year's annual report, some themes that have started to develop over the last couple of years. For example, last year, so total criminal code offenses reduced again next year, this year by 4.5%. The clearance rate also increased slightly. Crimes against persons fell last year by approximately 10%, and property crime fell by about 5%. We're quite proud of the fact that our priority one response times fell for the second year in a row, which again, the trends now, it's one data point does not make a trend, but at least now we have two years in a row where the data points are certainly favorable. Our crime severity index fell again in 2021, which is a good thing. It improved for the second year in a row. And a big thing that we talked about a number of years ago was the sustainability of our service, and how we can continue to provide that for our community relies on the health of our members. And our overtime numbers were reduced again last year quite significantly. And why that's important, two parts, obviously, the health and wellness of our members. In 2019, I stood before you and told you that overtime was at record highs, crime severity was at record highs, response times were at record highs. And so we're starting to see really good evolution, that those numbers have reversed. And in the midst of that, we've also tried to develop some new initiatives. And one initiative that was started in 2021 after a couple of successful pilots was our break, enter, and auto theft unit. So the board, with your permission, Mr. Chair, I'd like to give the deputy just a kind of an opportunity to give some highlights on how that unit has done from January 1st, 2022 in the last few months. Daryl, you want to take care of that?
Thank you, Chief. Well, through you, Mr. Chair. Just as a refresher, the break, enter, and auto theft team, BEAT, had been piloted a couple times over a period of 2 years, and then the decision was made for January this year to implement it as a full-time team. And the BEAT team, I'm going to give you the stats from January 1st until almost today, till June 10th, anyways. I can advise you that the BEAT team in that period, there have been 93 working days, and they have made 60 arrests in that time. That's almost one every day and a half. They have executed 10 search warrants on premises, so on residences. And they have issued 391 criminal charges. They've recovered $280,000 in stolen property. So that's nice to hear that some of our property is getting back to our persons that have been victims of theft and break and enters. They have seized, in terms of illicit drugs, almost 22,500, and that includes fentanyl, methamphetamine, cocaine, and prescription pills. In terms of recidivism, of that 60 arrests, 2 persons have been arrested 3 times, 7 of them have been arrested twice. We've, over the period of almost 6 months, we're expecting it just to continue to gain steam. What is not mentioned in those stats is that we're working extensively now with our partners from Wellington OPP, for example, where break and enters are committed there and come down into our region, or Halton, or Waterloo, some of our border agencies, so to speak. And that the creation of that team is creating a better intelligence, not only in the city of Guelph, but in the province of Ontario. So this team is now on the provincial stage, and that can only benefit us, where we are gaining intelligence, who's coming into our community, committing these. Many of them are committed from persons in this community, but we're just gaining that sense of who's doing what. And by addressing it, we're hoping to see a reduction in break and enters and auto theft. Subject to any questions, that's the brief update I had.
Any questions? Not hearing any or seeing any. Thanks, Daryl, for that succinct summary. And it looks like this was a great initiative, and it's doing, I might ask you this, expected or more than expected or better than expected?
I think given the tenacity of the team, it's a little bit better. Even with that tenacity, I mean, it's probably better than expected. I consider these incredible results, and it is a very dedicated team, and it's kudos to that team for doing what they're doing. And I expect we have high expectations of the team going forward, so we're expecting more of the same.
Okay. Thanks, Daryl. Are there any other questions for the deputy? No, not seeing any. Okay. Chief, did you have any other comments, or I'm trying to get what I'm doing here is my screen goes dark after, I don't know, 3 minutes, it seems. And then I have to restart it, press the button, and away we go. Not restart the whole thing. Okay, that's my sad story. Sorry, Chief, does that conclude your annual report?
Yeah, well, certainly absent any questions, I'm happy to answer any questions. And the report will be posted as soon as possible now to our website for the public to review it.
Okay, so let's move now to 7.7, new business. Is there any new business? Not seeing any. Information items 8.0, I will let you read that. It's self-explanatory. And now, Christine, did you have your hand up?
Just under the information items?
Yeah.
The first bullet point is our next open meeting, which I
Oh,
believe
yes.
is changed now to September the 15th, still the third Thursday of the month.
Yep.
At the
Good
same
catch.
time.
Yeah, thanks.
No problem.
Okay, so we'll make sure in the minutes that that's changed. Okay. Well, thanks, everyone. I entertain a motion to adjourn. Christine, seconded by, who was first? Oh, Mayor Guthrie, I guess, was first. And all in favor? And that's carried. Okay, thanks, Bob.